Be able to come in for 3. Ooh, and that's it. People do not like that, and I don't blame them. Hi, Menacing MTG here, and we have a Rakdos deck. It's kind of interesting and unique. I have seen some decks that are utilizing um, Fireblade Charger, and I'm fascinated by this card because as long as it's equipped, it has haste. But the big thing is that when Fireblade Charger dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. And I've seen some decks where people are throwing on enchantments on this to boost it up, and it becomes a big problem. And but a lot of those decks are actually I haven't seen any that are not mono red, and I'm sure there are, but I have not seen them. So, but I was like, okay, you can have 4 Fireblade Chargers, but when they're gone, they're gone. And the odds of getting equipment on it are okay, but not wildly great. So I wanted to be able to A, regenerate Fireblade Charger, and B, to have some secondary gains occurring when it dies, if possible. So that brings in a few things. First is Hateful Eidolon, which is a 1-drop, also a 1-drop, lifelink creature that whenever an enchanted creature dies, draw a card for each aura you controlled that was attached to it. So if we have Fireblade Charger on the battlefield and we have a Furor of the Bitten attached to it, it dies, it deals 3 damage. Then if Hateful Eidolon is on the battlefield at the same time, we get to draw a card for having this enchantment aura attached to it. So that's one piece where we're getting a secondary benefit with Hateful Eidolon where we can draw cards, which is always helpful. We do have 1 Village Rites in here for that purpose also, where we can just intentionally kill something to draw cards if you have Hateful Eidolon, or just to get more lands or more creatures or spells on the board. So then I was like, okay, so we need some other creatures that are going to be also vehicles for spells and scare people and do bad things to your opponent. And so, we have the 3 Eidolons, we have the 4 Fireblade Chargers. Then we have 4 Robber of the Rich, which this, when I just had to dredge into my mind and say, hey, what drives me crazy in an opponent's deck? And Robber of the Rich is tough. It's a 2-drop, and it has reach and haste. And it exiles your cards, and then they can play those cards with whatever mana they have that isn't color specific. So this is you're not always going to get Fireblade Chargers, and you're not always going to get Robber of the Rich, but between the 8 of them, you're likely to be getting some of one or the other or both. And then I wanted even more depth than that. So I decided I was going to throw in, here's another card that has always fascinated me. I've used it in a few decks in a lightweight way. I've only got 2 copies in this deck, and that's probably because it's a 3-drop 2/2, which means that there's a fair chance that the opponent's going to have something that can block this card by the time you get it out. But it is a great card because when you attack and do damage with it, you create a Goblin Construct that is 0/1, and it can't block. And at the beginning of the opponent's upkeep, they lose a damage. So they lose a life. It deals them a damage each turn. So if you're able to get Relic Robber on the battlefield with an enchantment on it that boosts it up, like Furor of the Bitten, and I do also have 1 Maniacal Rage. And I do have a few Rimrock, which allow it to give it some temporary pump. Then this thing can create a bunch of these tokens. But to get him to be able to get in there and attack and create these tokens, which is a secondary element of this deck, but still, I think, as you know, if you've watched my deck building, I like to have multiple ways to kind of get us closer to wins. And this is just one of those additional ways beyond Fireblade and Robber of the Rich. Um, so we do have some removal to help push this along the way. And one of these pieces of removal is Frostbite, and this benefits from playing Snowland, so we're loaded up with Snowlands as a result of just having this card in here. And Frostbite deals is a 1-drop that deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or if you control 3 or more snow permanents, then it deals 3 damage instead. So nice little removal card. There's again 3 of those in here. Then we also have Wither Crown in here. We have 4 of these, and the reason we have 4 of these in here is because we can regenerate any of the enchantments and creatures that have a mana cost of 2 or less. And we do that by virtue of having Lurrus in here. We have 3 copies. So, and we also have 2 Call of the Death Dwellers. And this is a common theme in many of my decks, to be able to regenerate these small things using these methods. It's nothing particularly new if you've seen me. What is new is having the Fireblade, the Robber of the Rich, the Relic Robber, and having red enchantments in addition to the Wither Crown. And I don't have Mire's Grasp and some of those. That could have made an appearance in here as well. But I chose not to because I wanted to put the emphasis on the red stuff that we have going here, these red creatures. But it is great to know that 2-drops and 1-drops that are permanents can come back. So let's just take a quick look at what Lurrus brings back. There's a lot. There's 3 Hateful Eidolons. There's 4 Fireblade Chargers. There are 4 Furor of the Bitten. There are 4 Wither Crown. There is 1 Maniacal Rage. And there is 2 Rimrock Knights. And there are 4 Robber of the Rich. So 3, 7, 11, 15, 16, 18, 22 card permanents that can come back with Lurrus on the board. So that's just huge. It's an enormous amount of regeneration potential, and there's 3 Lurrus. So you can lose a Lurrus and it's not at all the end of the world. Then Call of the Death Dweller can bring 2 creature cards back, up to 2, with a total converted mana cost of 3 or less. So you could bring back, for example, a Fireblade and a Robber of the Rich. Okay, and they come directly to the battlefield, and you can put a Death Touch counter and a Menace counter in any combination on 1 or 2 creatures. Okay, so just enormous, but this also, a key use of this Call of the Death Dweller could be to regenerate Lurrus, which then can regenerate other things. So lots of flexibility in that. And that's pretty much your core function of the deck right there, with all those small things. Nothing more than 3-drop here. An enormous amount of stuff that's quickly available. Now, we do have quite a bit of land for having such small things, and that's because we want to be able to get out these things that are really the higher impact items. Ox of Agonos, which if you bring it on, we don't have a whole lot of card draw. Really, it's the 1 Village Rites and Hateful Eidolon when you have the right combination of things going on. But we do get to regenerate a lot, but being able to draw a handful of cards is really sweet. And the Ox, is a 5-drop, which is you're gonna have that many mana in almost all your games. This is not a deck that's necessarily going to win really fast. It's not a total aggro deck. But this can just filter cards in. It also has escape, so it can kind of come back and wield its ugly head again with a 1/1 counter on it. So then we have 1 copy of Obosh which odd converted mana cost sources deal twice the amount of damage they normally would. So again, the vast majority of things we have here are odd converted mana cost. Eidolon, the Charger, not the Rimrock Knight or the Robber of the Rich, but the Relic Robber and Lurrus. So a fair amount of stuff that's going to benefit from this. So those are two kind of high impact cards there. And then we have the big kick, which 2 Embercleaves, which if we throw Embercleave on a Fireblade Charger that has a Furor of the Bitten, then all of a sudden you have a 4/4 with double strike, and when it dies, it deals 4 damage. Double strike and trample, I should say. And if you happen to get Obosh on, then it would be double that. You know, they'd deal 8 damage, double strike, trample. But having this on Robber of the Rich also could be a huge thing. You just plug in the card. You know, if you have Robber of the Rich or Relic Robber, and you have one of these +2/+2 enchantments on it, and you get Embercleave on it, you know, it's a big stinking mess. Very, very hard to deal with these things. So there's the whole deck. Let's take a very quick look at the land base here. We have 8 snow-covered swamps, 12 snow-covered mountains, 1 Blightstep pathway. I only have 1 because I want to have primarily snowland, so I can early in the game be able to use Frostbite. And we have 2 of these Sulphurous Mire. So we only have 3 multicolor options here, but it is 23 land, which is pretty heavy for this low mana need permanent base. So that's the whole deck. I'm going to stop right there and just get right into games. I have some very cool games for you to watch. You can see that once I get a certain combination of things on the field, that some opponents tend to just fold. So I think I'll be able to play like 5 games because many of them are very quick. So I hope you enjoy this. As always, I'll encourage that you hit subscribe if you haven't done that thus far, because I really appreciate that. And any suggestions you have, throw them in there. And thanks a bunch for watching. Have a great day. Okay, an excellent hand here. We'll keep. Eidolon Withercrown. Good mana. See if they remove. They do not. And therefore, it's Withercrown time. The great news is that we have Lurrus here. Let's see if they block. It's such a good card, they may feel like they can, they'll give it up. Okay. We got to draw a card as a result of that death by having an aura or equipment attached to something that died. Okay, they're going to be pissed off when they see what we do here. Oh man, are they going to be mad. And they're going to be even more mad when we're able to reuse those with Lurrus. You're going to go that route again. Okay, we draw a card. This is all going well. Okay. We'll bring on Lurrus. We have 2 in hand. I'm going to stay put. And we'll be able to use, if they can't remove Lurrus, even if they can, next turn we'll be able to bring second Lurrus on and use Withercrown the same turn. This is fabulous. We got some warriors going on here, and I'm sure they have some equipment. Now that's going to hurt because even with Withercrown on, it's going to still be reasonably potent. It'll be a 2/5, I believe. who's to say I can't put two of them on? Oh, and we have Obosh here, but I think what we have to do first is this. Now we can come in with some lifelink creatures, do some damage, and they're down. These are both odd. Okay, they give it up. Oh, that is incredibly good. They must have something else to attach. They must realize that we can use those Wither Crowns over and over again. Oh, and they go, that's actually okay. Welcome to Robber of the Rich. Now, what we want is Embercleave on Robber of the Rich and Obosh on, and this is going to make for a deadly stew here now. We're coming in. So we will get through with at least Eidolon, yep. And they're going to lose a life keeping this guy on the board, and they're down to one, just a couple cards in hand. They do have Maul of the Skyclaves, which is a good card, but I don't think they're going to be able to stand up to this. Okay, yeah. That's too bad. Bit of a loss for us there. Okay. Now, let's see. So we'll take one of these out. It does hurt quite a bit though. It'll hurt even more next turn when we drop Obosh. We just bring Eidolon back. And for that matter, we can block with Eidolon, because he'll just return next turn. We can't do it now. Okay, so now they got a bit of a formidable creature, but it does not have... okay, this is so interesting here. Well, it's one or the other, so he can come in. And he won't kill him. He can block this guy, but he does have double strike. Let's see. Yeah, we just got to keep applying the pressure here. First strike takes him out. Eidolon on. And they have no lifelink, so they're losing life. With Wither Crown. Ooh, and I get to attach another Wither Crown. That's fabulous. So that's going to hurt so bad. First, let's get Relic Robber on. Then attach Wither Crown. They had to know that was coming. It's showing right there. And now we're going to attack with everything. And we have Frostbite ready to go to deal 3 damage here. And we'll draw a card as we're going to use Frostbite on the Expedition Champion. Well, for that matter, I actually could kill this guy, who is a little more potent. Oof. Yikes, and that means that... well, I guess Relic Robber won't be able to come in and do any damage at this moment, but we're going to go ahead and take this guy out. Yep. Beautiful game. Okay, this is just a fabulous hand. We have a perfect little bit of ramp here. So we get the Fireblade Charger on immediately. And then if the opponent comes up with a blocker, we have Wither Crown available next turn. They have Lurrus as companion, and that's great news right there. Now we can make him big. Or we can go Robber of the Rich. I think Robber of the Rich is the better choice right here. Just a land, okay. One less land that they have available to them, though. And yep, we'll load up Fireblade, which means, unless they come in and kill it before it attaches, that when it dies it'll do 3 damage to the opponent. If they spend here, then they have to face Robber of the Rich, hitting them and exiling stuff. Honestly, if I had a kill spell, I'd probably take Fireblade out, because that's going to get scary quick. They're going to give it up. Okay, I love it. Well, this is a bit of a dilemma, as we have no creatures to play here. We do have good land and good cards, but it's going to be an uphill battle if we don't get a creature pretty quick. We're going to try it, though, because everything else is so good. Okay, this looks good, so our goal here is to drop Wither Crown on this, so we start leeching him. Our alternative is to... I'm not going to have 3 snow-covered lands anytime soon. The pathway is not a snow-covered land. Lurrus, that's good. Okay, I do think that we are going to go this route. Start leeching them right away. Gain a life. And they give it up right away. Now the good news is that we'll be able to play Lurrus here. Okay, this is looking pretty good here. So what we're going to do is bring in black. And go ahead and put up Lurrus. We're going to keep using Wither Crown over and over here. We'll apply some pressure, a little bit, not much, but we'll take it. So we've got good options for next turn. Oof. Okay, so this is going to hurt. No blocks. And yeah, we're going to have to take that out if there's any way. Let's see. Sadly, no land. So you can go Wither Crown. The problem with that is that it still can mutate and kill things. So, yeah, we would have gone big with Lurrus there, but we'll take that.